Hey, what's up? It is still January 26th. Uh, Silver's up just above 97 an ounce. Gold's knocking the door on 5,000. Platinum, I think, 26 something or other. So I know I've said a lot. I've written a lot. Um, I don't have a lot of regrets as far as things I've said. Um, you know, I don't care that much. Sometimes I feel like I've put too much out there to feel like it's been reasonably audited, and I just delete stuff or I remove it, like my website blog or um, updating my first book. Taking the first book um, off, not selling it anymore, or deleting my old videos. And it's a shame. I've probably got some good ones. I really shouldn't just do that willy-nilly. I should look at it first, see if I think it's still got any value. But for the most part, I don't really care. Um, my intentions have been good. And I can say honestly that my intentions have remained good since 2018, when I had my whole episode. There was this chick. I caught feelings, and she rejected me, and I really got my heart broken. Um, but that relationship also unlocked uh, this goodness within me. Um, I devoted myself to goodness, um, and because I wanted to be worthy of the gift that I had missed. I've come to believe that that gift is something that didn't have to be encapsulated within that one individual. And honestly, that isn't an individual that occupies my mental space these days. I've moved on from that. Uh, but, you know, I've also gained reason, you know, to be good beyond this selfish idea of oh, I want to be worthy of this gift, like personal reward. I'm also concerned, and this is, shortly before I met this woman, I had this big psychic um, realization. Um, I don't know if psychic's the right word. I'm talking about relating to the psyche. I'm not saying premonition or whatever that. I'm not saying I saw the future. I'm saying I gained clarity on a particular matter, which is empathy and its importance, holding space. This is why my book is called Discourse, because half of discourse is holding space, right? Um, and so basically becoming willing to do this for all viewpoints that I encounter, to see what jives and what doesn't. And so, my beliefs have evolved since that time. But I've also, as I've gained information and heard arguments, but I've also heard a lot of appeals. I've heard emotional appeals, different groups of people saying, this is what's hurting me, this is what sucks. And I've gained an appreciation for the vast suffering that exists. I've also, I already understood economics. I already understood that we needed free markets. I but gaining an understanding of how much people are suffering has made me realize how important it is. Which is why I think I devoted myself to writing the whole freaking book, because it's important. And not just writing the book, but conceptualizing, figuring out, closing these loops, listening to all these people who oppose libertarianism. Why? What is, what market do you think can't function without this tax funded planner? And addressing those concerns throughout the book, talking about different markets. Why will this work? Going through security, justice, agriculture, manufacturing, utilities, transportation, all these things that people think we need this centrally planned, centrally controlled overseer, explaining how competition is going to create better solutions. I failed in being able to gain support or interest in what in my book, but it was still important for me to get that done. So it makes sense to hold space. It makes sense on every fucking level. It's part of it is other people have things that we want. If we can't figure out what they want, if we aren't even aware, how are we supposed to negotiate a deal whereby we can each get what we want, right? So part of it is selfish, but part of it is compassionate. And part of that is, once you start listening to people, you're going to start realizing these are human beings and they are suffering and it sucks. But even beyond that, depending on your religious views, there's clear direction from the great religious leaders throughout history that compassion is important. My research indicates that pretty much every major religion considers this a virtue. I got my personal beliefs, and my personal beliefs don't fit in exactly with any particular denomination that currently exists. And I talk about where I depart from Christianity, which I would say I share a lot of beliefs with, but I just have some questions on scripture that I just haven't been able to resolve. So I talk about some of that in my book. But that stuff doesn't have to be resolved for us to get freedom. So a lot of that discussion's at the back of the book. The back of the book is where I talk about the cool shit, the possibilities that can exist. But you got to get through the tough part to get to that part. Yeah, I try to give you hope. I try to give you reasons to keep going. Um, I think a lot of people got my first book were probably tainted by that, and it prevented them from giving the newer one a closer look. Um, but that's not the only project that I've worked on. So, in my book, I propose this idea of a gold reserve backed currency. But the reality is, a lot of questions exist regarding that reserve, and we might need a different solution. So, my opinion is that currencies should freely compete, meaning there shouldn't be transaction taxes um, when you transact. If I give someone a silver coin and they give me something, that should just be a transaction. We shouldn't have to report that as a capital gain or loss transaction the way we do today. Um, and the same applies to a whole host of other mediums that aren't legal tender and thus excluded from uh, transacting without tax or reporting. So I have come up with an idea for what one of these competing currencies could be. I got a little something I put together, I'm putting together. Um, I think it can really be helpful. Uh, it's also fucking amazing. And I wish I could show you guys everything right now, but I can't because some of the information is, I don't want anyone to have the ability to, like, I'm going to have different items valued at different levels. And I don't want to disclose the details of that because I don't want people trying to front run or people feeling like someone got a competitive edge knowing particular information. So I'm just I'm trying to keep some of it under wraps right now. Um, but it is growing into something pretty fucking amazing. And so amazing that I've prioritized this over the novel, which is also fucking crazy. But that, again, you got to get through it. There are payoffs in this fucking thing, but you got to get through to them. Big time payoffs, man. Both books. But you got to get through them. This is like, if I'm wrong, if you've gotten through a book, you tell me. You won't be able to. I'll refund your fucking money. Times 2. If you can present a good fucking real argument with weight that there isn't sufficient payoff. I don't want to make that open ended because um, only the first person who uses a particular argument gets that refund. How about that? You got to be real careful dealing with the public because people will try to fuck you over in any fucking imaginable way they fucking can. And so any kind of public facing operation, you have to think about the worst people that are possibly going to come by and how they're going to try to fuck you over. Um, so I'm hoping we progress to a society where people act better generally. And I believe that's possible through freedom, through competition, through the existence of good economic opportunities, um, and a free market that rewards good behavior rather than the current uh, setup where political influence is what is most rewarded. So, um, I'm gonna hopefully leave this one up here, so because I feel like I've been pretty cognizant. Um, these fucking markets are cooked, man. Um, at this point, yeah, still buy if you can. I'll give you that much of an edge. You want to own fucking metal. I'm telling you, one fucking silver ounce will be massively impactful, versus not, uh, post collapse. And when I logged on, you can still get that for about $100. Um, I don't know how long that deal's gonna last. Um, everyone's got a price where they would be willing to sell. Um, one of the things I'm going to do is unveil the prices that I'm willing to sell at, um, for certain items in certain amounts. And so that's going to be important because even though metal exists, metal's got to get out there. People got to be willing to take offers at a particular price. So, there's a lot of offers I'm not going to make until we get economic freedom. I'm not interested in buying real estate until property taxes don't exist. I'm not interested in buying businesses except for a very, very few resource sector businesses within the United States until we don't have income taxes or sales taxes or any other kind of fucking taxes. Because I don't support tax. There's a better way. That's what my book's about. But I will be willing to bid for certain items. And I'm going to have a list of what those items are. And I'm telling you right now, you're going to be better off if you got metal and good metal, not shit metal. You want to know what a good metal is? Gold, silver, platinum, palladium, uh, copper, nickel, tin, rhodium. And for me, those are metals that, if I can, um, you know, someone brings in a fucking kilo of fucking gold day one, I don't got all the money in the world, but if I reasonably can without endangering my liquidity, um, that's something I'll consider making a bid for, um, once I got this thing up and running. Um, and I mean, I'm going to have to record on my end what I'm doing because I have to stay compliant, reporting, because that's the system we're living in. That's going to slow the exchange down a bit, but I'm not required to record your end. That's your responsibility, um, legally. So, don't come and try to sell me zinc fucking pennies. I don't want zinc. Maybe some people like zinc. Maybe some people are willing to bid for zinc. I'm not one of them. I don't want zinc. I don't want aluminum. I don't want lead. I don't want steel. I don't want iron. I've told you what I want, and I don't want anything else. So those are the things I would consider making the offers for. You know, of course, a man's got to eat, so yeah, I'd probably be willing to pay for like a nice meal, right? Um, and the other basic stuff guy needs, right? Clothes, what have you. But that's only a little, my personal use is just tiny versus making markets, offering open bids publicly. So I'm going to be making some open offers once I get this thing up and running. So what else we got? The novel, sadly, I'm getting busy at work real soon here, so I don't see myself working on that till around probably May. Hopefully I can do that in May and I can find the motivation to knock that out, because that will be cool. And then once I got all those projects done, I'll probably get back to playing poker more regularly, because I'm going to want to sell my books. So now, things can change. These metals markets are on real shaky ground. You can get an ounce of silver for 100. Wasn't that long ago. I think it was like December. You could get it for 50, or maybe it was November. Wasn't that long ago. You could get it for 30. So it might not be that long till it's 300. It's 1,000. Yeah. Um, it's going to shock people seeing this. It's not going to be a straight ride up. There's going to be people selling and fucking crazy shit going on. It's going to be, but it's going to go fucking up like crazy, like you won't believe. Even once it's up, it's still something you should buy if you want to preserve your purchasing power. And I mean, there's going to come a time where having a single silver dime can be the difference between life and death. So I'm going to let you go for now, my friends.